Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Sampson. I'm the CEO of Freight Mango. I'm based here in Costa Mesa. My co-founder and chief product officer, Rachit Arora, flew in from Gurgaon, India. Gurgaon is now a second home to me as well. Freight Mango is trying to eliminate the barriers to trade for small to medium-sized enterprises. International freight shipping is very complex. There's over 200 countries in the world. There are many more languages, many more currencies, and definitely many more regulations on each side. The way that importers and exporters traditionally have to ship their goods for small to medium-sized businesses is through what are called freight forwarders. I liken freight forwarders to travel agents prior to having Priceline. Freight forwarders take care of everything for importers and exporters. If you find a great one, it's an amazing experience. But with over 100,000 freight forwarders in the US alone, many, many more across the world, you don't always have this great experience. And that's where Freight Mango comes into play. So we are connecting importers and exporters directly to carriers. We are a two-sided marketplace. Sometimes these great freight forwarders become our supply on one side. We also work directly with the carriers. We work with shippers, we work with trunking companies, we work with customs brokers, we have insurance, we have financing. We do everything, and our goal is to provide transparency, access, and most importantly, rate competitiveness for small to medium-sized businesses that are normally reserved for large enterprises. Where we started and the first problem we wanted to solve is speed to quotes. And we hear this all the time. It could take 2 days on average, up to 30 days to get a quote, especially during the worst of times during COVID. So our first product, or our first launch of our marketplace, provided 30-second quotes for door-to-door for less than container load. That's for shippers that are shipping a pallet. We also provide the same now for port-to-port for full container load, 20-footers and 40-footers. And this year, within the next few months, we'll also be launching this capability for trucking as well. But beyond that, as I mentioned, we've developed the first end-to-end ecosystem for importers and exporters on a small to medium-sized basis to self-manage their freight. They now have control of their freight. We actually originated, as I mentioned, in India, building logistics SaaS. And you'll see this on the bottom left of the slide, which is our 3PL SaaS. And what that does is for NVOCCs or freight forwarders or freight consolidators or freight brokers, they can do their rate management and sales conversion in this SaaS product. But we're very specific about the customer that we want to go after for this. We need them to have a large scale across the world, or if it's trucking across the nation, so that way they can provide supply side liquidity into our marketplace. So our SaaS feeds our marketplace, and conversely, our marketplace feeds them more business. But as I mentioned, beyond our 3PL SaaS, we provide every other service that is required. As a matter of fact, we just launched with our financing partner, also based out of Hermosa Beach here, Current. They now have the ability to add basically pay later for importers or exporters. It can take 3 to 6 months to get your freight. Your working capital is tied up not only in the products inside of the freight, but also for the cost of the freight itself. We can now finance all that through our financing partner. We also work with liners directly. You see Maersk on here, and there's many, many more beyond that. Same thing with trucking companies and customs agents. Our goal is to build the most intuitive and autonomous product in the market. I hail prior to here from Lyft, and I was leading the Southern California market. I know what an amazing product experience looks like. We want to provide that consumer-like experience for a business-to-business application. It is our living, dying goal every single day to focus on the customer experience. And many times that's via service, but we want to learn every single thing that we can about freight and build that back into our product. One other thing that I would highlight about this slide is there are some big competitors. You see them on here. Cerritos. Cerritos went public this year at a $500 billion valuation. Now they have to meet quarterly financial goals. They primarily have been focused on air. We are focused on ocean. Ocean has lagged air. Air APIs began in the 90s when Priceline, Expedia, et cetera, took off. Ocean has not. That's just been the last couple of years. Same thing with Flexport. Flexport has raised 1,000 times the amount of money that we've had to inception. We look at both of these as the incumbents. We can build a really large and amazing companies you're about to see at 1/10 of the cost. And that's going to mean 100x returns for all the investors here. The market's massive. I'm not going to go much into it, but our really focus right now, small to medium-sized businesses, focus on everything excluding warehousing, but we can easily include warehousing in the future. So over the last couple of years since we've launched Freight Mango, the marketplace, we've had over 50,000 quote searches. We moved over 15,000 containers, and we've already shipped to 150 trade lanes in over 100 countries of that. So I don't think Jeff is in the room anymore, but I had to provide the obligatory hockey stick growth here. But I want everybody to focus on a couple of things here. First of all, 2022 to 2023 is a transition point for us. The freight market has changed from a supply-constrained market to a demand-constrained market. And so we are really focused on driving the profitability. So our first core focus is improving our take rates from traditionally for a marketplace, and at Cerritos, they only get 1% of take rate of their GMV. We did 3.8% last year. The trailing last 3 months have been at 7%. Our goal is to get to 10%. The average freight forwarder can garner anywhere from 15 to 25%. So there's a lot of opportunity for us there. But when we look at the overall, what's our trajectory over the next 5 years, couple key points, and it's blurred out by the timer. One is at that 2027 goal, that's just 0.2% of market share. There is a lot of space and room for large companies to be built here. Second of all, I want everybody to focus on the product strategy that we have here, which is not only focus on our two-sided marketplace, but we've launched an API this year that can embed into other B2B commerce marketplaces, give them instant quoting, have a reseller product. That's how we ultimately scale, as well as building strategically the customers that are on our SaaS. So as I mentioned, well, first of all, as a nuclear submarine officer out of college, prior to here, I was at Next Trucking, focused on building a marketplace for truckers, and then Lyft prior to that. And then my co-founder, Rachit, has been deep in the fintech as a developer, and then has been in this logistics industry for the past 6 years. So the round is a $3 million safe at a $7.6 million pre-money valuation. We already have $1 million of term sheet, and we have another $500,000 committed. So we're trying to close the remaining $1.5 million by the end of April. And a lot of this is going to go back into product-led development. Thanks, everybody.
Right on time. Thanks, Chris. And I saw your slide with your three amigos. Should I call 3 amigos or 3 amigos? Thank you so much.